Good morning, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be going over 5 recipes to get before Shadowlands. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Obviously the Shadowlands, when the actual launch happens, I'm not talking about the pre-patch, but once the launch happens, you're going to have very little time to actually do any farming. So this actually came to my head the other day when I was at work, and I was like, okay, so what would I ideally want for recipes by the time Shadowlands actually launches? And the overall, what actually came to me was mount recipes. So what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to go over some mount recipes that you could somewhat get a hold of if you can, if you're lucky, or if you put in the effort. You can get those before Shadowlands and get yourself set up for the long run by crafting mounts. And obviously I love crafting mounts, so this works in tandem with those recipes. So other than that, let's get into number 1, which is the steel bound harness. Now this one actually drops from Tichondrius on normal, heroic and mythic. This one can actually be done through that. LFR on the Legion content does not drop the recipe, just FYI if you were going to do it that way. I have already tried it, it does not work. You will only be able to get it on normal, heroic and or mythic. The best way is normal, just do it normal, kill Tichondrius. You have a 2% chance to get a hold of the recipe for the Steelbound Harness if you are a blacksmith. If you do not have that profession, you will not get the recipe. It's pretty dead simple. Okay, so when you're actually doing this, what you'll be wanting to do is kill a few bosses beforehand. These are easily soloable at this moment in time. I did this with a person from my guild actually. It was Farmaholic, who actually gave me a hand because I was playing a Clothy. I did struggle with a lower item level, however, that's why I enlisted help. Or you can always use my Discord to actually ask someone to actually give you a hand if you really want, because obviously a lot of us have a lot of things and all that jazz. But mainly I found running it with my plate wearer, I didn't have a problem, nor did I have a problem doing it with my demon hunter. So if they are blacksmiths, you shouldn't have that much problem, or if you're adequately geared, unlike me, you should not have a problem actually going in there, taking out the bosses or getting to Tichondrius to take him out. Other than that, that is pretty much how you would get a hold of the Steelbound Harness. You need to be a blacksmith, you have 2% chance of getting hold of that recipe, and overall I found it to be the Tichondrius fight to actually be pretty much a cakewalk. It was mainly tank and spank and move a couple of times to avoid the meteors. It was really not that hard in order to do. So other than that, let's move on to number 2, which is the Monolite Reinforced Chassis. Now this one will be a little bit more harder to get a hold of as of Shadowlands, because most people won't be doing Operation MECHA-MOGUL, and that is where you'll be getting a hold of this. You will want to go over to Kojo, and that is one of the bosses in Operation MECHA-MOGUL, and what you'll be wanting to do is either do it on normal or heroic. 0.6% chance of getting a hold of this. Now I do get these percentages from Wowhead, just FYI, and that is basically the only other source besides a couple of others, and that one seemed out of all of them to be the best for those percentages, so don't take this one as face value for those drop chance percentages. But according to Wowhead, it was a 0.6% to get a hold of the Monolite Reinforced Chassis from Kojo. Now, the thing of note when you actually do this is just run it in a group. It's really easy to do. Obviously you can't solo it, I don't think you can, but if you can, let me know if you can actually solo it, because I would love to test it out on my demon hunter. But other than that, what you'll be wanting to do for the reinforced chassis is be a blacksmith in order to get a hold of the recipe. Much like the Steelbound Harness, you will need to be a blacksmith in order for it to drop, or have the chance of dropping for that matter. And overall, it's really just a cakewalk. You just get yourself into a group and you just try it for the day and try and see if you can get hold of that low drop chance recipe. Other than that, you will be putting in a little bit of time each and every day, but overall I think it's well worth the investment of time to actually get a hold of this recipe, as it is used to create the Gallywix ATV. Obviously I'm not saying it the other way around, I'm just going to say Gallywix because all it is Gallywix backwards, so we all know what it is. Gallywix ATV. And other than that, that moves us on to number 3, which is from the same boss, and that is the supercharged engine for engineers. You will have to be an engineer for this one to drop, and that one's at a 0.7% according to Wowhead. And that one is by killing Kojo again. And it, much like I previously stated, it will require you to get into a group and try it for the day and try and get a hold of it. Obviously, you can do it every single day if you really wanted to, but it's mainly just trying your luck, trying to get a hold of that recipe, and then you can use that to make the Gallywix ATV as well. Now, you will need, however, if you are wanting to make a full line of production for this, you will ideally want a blacksmith and an engineer on one character, so then all you have to do is that each and every day, so then you can get a hold of those recipes and then just craft the Gallywix ATV by making the chassis and the engine, then put them together, make the ATV, sell that on the auction house. That's mainly the point of this video for that. Now, other than that, let's move on to number 4, which is the Mechanized Chopper. Now, the Mechanized Chopper is a mount that I purely love, mainly because you can make a stupid amount of gold with it, even though it doesn't really sell for a stupid amount of gold. It's usually about 30k. It usually potters around that mark. It does require a 12,500 gold investment for those materials, but overall I find that the Mechanized Chopper is a great one to actually get a hold of. Now, the recipe for that matter, it is not a actual farmable one, it is actually rep locked. Now, how do we get around this? Well, what you'll be wanting to do is take off your tabard. Yep, you will have to run through a dungeon tabardless. And the best zone that I've actually found to actually get exalted, you will need to be exalted with the Alliance Vanguard and or the other respective faction for that, for the Horde, for the other additional one, the same principle applies. But overall, what you'll be wanting to do is run it into the Pit of Sauron on heroic difficulty. If you actually run this as you would for the Battered Hilt farm by gathering up the trash, burn them down, run back out, reset the instance, go back in, you will actually it will actually go to 3 lockouts before you get exalted. And when I mean lockouts, that means get 10 runs in of killing the trash, you get locked out once for that hour. So overall it will require you to get 3 hours worth of lockouts in. So that's 3 lockouts that you'll be doing in order to get exalted with the Alliance Vanguard right there. I found this one to be a really easy one to do, and if you run it on heroic, much as opposed to running it on normal, you have a chance of picking up a Battered Hilt, which will actually give you a little bit of additional gold with that. Also, if you are a farmer for Mog, this is a great location to get a lot of green items with Wrath of the Lich King, as I do think that a lot of transmog items from that era are going to go up in value due to the fact of Shadowlands and all that stuff. So I have an inkling right there that that's going to be the case as a side note. Now, other than that, coming in last on our list, and how could I not include this one on the list, and that is the MECHA-MOGUL Mark II. Now this one actually drops from the Motherlode from Mogul Raz, I've written a note, Razdunk, Mogul Razdunk. This is the last boss of the Motherlode, and you have a chance of actually getting a hold of the recipe for the MECHA-MOGUL Mark II. However, you will need to be an engineer in order for it to actually drop, much like all of the BFA ones that we listed prior via the engine and the chassis. But the MECHA-MOGUL Mark II has a 1% chance of dropping from the Mogul Razdunk at the end of the Motherlode, so you will have to do the full dungeon, by the way. Other than that, the thing that I would note for this one is this one's probably the easiest one out of my experience to actually group for. There seems to always be a group up for the Motherlode, so this one could be one of those ones where it will be could very well be the easiest way in order to get a hold of this recipe. Other than that, that is pretty much all you have to do. The Motherlode is a really easy dungeon in order to do, so I don't see any fault with that right there. So overall, what would I recommend? I would highly recommend doing the MECHA-MOGUL. Alliance Vanguard for the Mechanized Chopper, definitely a viable one to get a hold of. I'd actually probably say if I wanted to actually fully optimize what I'm actually farming for, I would do the chassis, the engine and the mogul as a daily, obviously, and I would farm it up that way. With the Steelbound Harness, I would set that as a weekly. Of course, it is a raid, so you will be locked out. But remember, you can try on normal, heroic, and mythic to actually get hold of it, if you can get a friend to do it with you, to give you a hand with that. But when it comes to the MECHA-MOGUL, it's really, really dead simple. You just go into Group Finder, and it's so easy to group up for that, so it's really easy to actually group. But the low percentage chance of you actually getting that recipe is kind of one of those ones where you're like, So I would recommend actually just trying to get hold of the Mechanized Chopper first, because that's the easiest one out of the list, and then the rest of them you pick which ones you want. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much all I have to say for this video for today. Have a lovely rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow. If you want to support the channel and help make the channel even better, then why not check out the Patreon? Members get additional info, gold making resources, and Patreon specific content. The link is located in the description down below. Thank you and have an awesome day.